Welcome to Tech Rant, the only show that calls out bullshit in tech, overhyped products, stupid software, and corporate nonsense. Let's take them down. No fluff, no filters. I'm your host, David Lawrence, and it's time to rant. We got Aya here. She is from Fashion AI. So it's fashion without the IO, so it's like fashion.
Fashion, yeah, it's not quick.
And yeah, and it's really cool for trying on clothes, basically, with AI. So you can create realistic generations of clothes on different types of persons in different context, situations, positions. And now even I saw that you did just publish, I think, a few weeks ago, the video generation as well, which is really, really crazy. You're doing this as a two-person company, right? With your husband.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So, and you're both full-time on it.
Yes. So if you want, I can give you like the whole history of how it happened.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, we started this like 1.5 years ago. We were both working in tech. So I was a full stack developer and my husband was a machine learning engineer. And then we felt like, we moved to Belgrade, which is great here in Europe. And we felt like we kind of saved enough money on our tech jobs. And we thought, like AI is hot. Everything is going on right now in AI, like ChatGPT came out and stuff like that. And both of us are pretty good. I mean, at least that's what we want to believe.
I hope
And
so.
we said, why not? Yeah. And we said, why not combine forces and just build something on our own? And because my husband is specifically from the computer vision area expertise, we decided to go with something that's going to be like image generation, generative AI for images, visual generative AI. And so that's how it basically came to be. We decided to focus specifically on fashion because we felt like it's a very untouched topic, relatively still in AI, because everyone is now innovating for, I don't know, being an AI recruiter or agents, LLMs, chatbots, things like that. And we really wanted to focus on fashion because it's untouched kind of with AI. I mean, now it's really developing, but we knew that it's going to be innovative to create some solutions for them. And the main solution is, like you mentioned, is transferring clothes realistically from one person to another, or from a flat lay image of a garment to a person. And we thought it's going to be easy, but it wasn't. So it took us about more than a year to just develop the technology itself. So that's really hard. We built our own model from scratch. And yeah, it took a lot of time, a lot of failures. But here we are. Like, we launched in September and now it's working. People are using our app. We have an API. So basically my husband is responsible for the AI and I'm doing all the rest, like the applications, the API, back office, stuff like that.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's actually one topic I wanted to talk about as well. Is I saw that once or twice you mentioned like people really think like we're just using some, I don't know, open AI or whatever, so we're just using the API, and you're like you're getting
Yeah.
mad.
Oh,
It's
I
like
am.
no, we build our own. But
Yeah.
for me, the interesting part is like I know the theory, so I'm not a machine learning engineer. I know the theories, right? So, and I know in theory how I could train something like an existing model, even though when I tried, I gotta be honest, when I tried it with an existing model, I just made it worse. So I'm not the best person to ask. But what I would like to know is like, how would one start training one's own model? Like, did you really start with like zero, or did you use somewhat of a existing model and make that your model? Like, how did that work?
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not an existing model. And it's very complicated to explain. I mean, it's more of Dan's side of the business.
Yeah.
He's like the expert, because I'm not a machine learning engineer as well. Like, I'm a web developer, but I did learn a lot about it in the process, obviously. So all I can say is that you need to read a lot of papers, like literally academic papers
Yeah.
that are coming out, for example, from Google and things like that. And they're great, but you need to really understand them in order to start building something. And yeah, the thing about our model is that it's really built from scratch. It's not like we could take some, I don't know, Flux open source code and then, you know, tweak it a little to work for Triumph. That doesn't work. I mean, and believe me, we tried. That's how we started at the beginning. That's why I mentioned that it's really hard.
Because you want to save time, right? Because you don't you
Of
ideally
course.
you wouldn't want to necessarily have to do all of the custom work, right? Yeah.
Yep. But, and that's what I think most companies, that's the approach that they're taking, which
Mhm.
is the correct approach, of course, because if you already have something you can work with, that's great. Specifically for fashion, we realized it's a very hard problem to solve because you need to be very, like pixel perfect with the details. So you can't make anything like pretty or smooth, like overly smooth or stuff like that. Like it needs to be really to the detail of like the sewings that you see on the garment.
Yeah,
Um,
otherwise you're fucking up the image, right? Yeah.
yeah, otherwise, you know, fashion brands are not happy with it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. True. So when you get a custom model, you need some infrastructure to run it on. So and that's basically, I mean, for sure, I think you do use Next.js on the customer side, right? But that's certainly not where the generation happens. Do you use some kind of paperspace.com or where do you run these?
So do you know FAL AI?
Yes.
Yeah. So we use them to run the inference of our model.
Oh, you
Currently,
can run
we
custom. I only knew it because of like the existing models. I didn't know you can run custom models.
Yeah, so as far as I know, it's something new. I mean, we partnered with them. I don't think it's public yet. I mean that everyone can do it.
Nice.
But we have a partnership with them where we run it. But you can do it on RunPod, actually. We used them also before, and they're great. Of course, it's hard. Again, you need to use Dockers and stuff. Like it's very, very complicated.
Yeah.
It's not easy, I would say, but it's
Yeah.
possible and people do that. So, and I hope there will be more companies that will allow it.
Super interesting topic. Basically, on Dan's side, Dan is your husband, just for reference.
Uh-huh.
Like he created his own model, or right? But like,
Mhm.
what's the tech stack behind creating such a model? Because it has to, like, if you run it on FAL AI, I would suppose it has to be somewhat of a standard, somewhat of an LLM standard. I'm not sure. But for example, is that Python based or do you use TensorFlow
Python,
or what? Okay.
TensorFlow. Yes,
Tensor.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly.
So that's the basis. Interesting.
Mm.
What I found interesting is when I tested it is so it really sticks to the first image. So I'm not, I guess that's intended because the first image is your template,
Model.
right? Yeah. At first I didn't know like how it's supposed to work. Even though it's intuitive, it's really intuitive. It's just like I didn't know like what is basically what has more weight on the output. So I did basically generate on the left side a like man with a t-shirt, so to say. And on the right side, I inputted a man with a long jacket, which turned out somewhat correct, but somehow incorrect. And I'm just trying to understand what's the like, is that supposed to be a bug or is that supposed to be expected? So I'm just trying to understand your perspective because what it did then, obviously, which makes sense if you think about it, is that it basically puts the jacket correctly, though, into a t-shirt form, but then it looks like the jacket is inside of the trousers. It doesn't look wrong in itself. It still looks somewhat correct, but it looks like the jacket became a t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a good example actually to the model's capabilities, I would say. Because indeed, currently, if you start with an input model that is wearing, I don't know, something tight like a t-shirt,
Yeah.
and then you try to put a puffer coat on it,
Yeah.
it will not be like the best result, probably. But that's because there is a process behind it that actually needs to kind of replace the t-shirt with the jacket. But what we really do is like we take off the t-shirt and then we generate the jacket into the person, what's left
I
of the
see.
person.
I see.
But I can say that this is going to go away soon because we are going to release a newer model.
Oh, really?
Which is even better in that sense of the fitting. So that's something that hopefully we will not have in the near future, but we'll see. But yeah, currently, like this is like the hardest, let's say, challenge for the model.
Yeah, I can see
if you
that.
try to put something big on something smaller.
True. Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, then I thought about it afterwards, and it's also that this is not the usual case, I would say. Even though it's great that you're working on it, like I'm looking forward to see that. But then again, if I know I'm going to switch basically the person or the context or whatever of a T-shirt, and I just want, or I'm just switching the T-shirt for another T-shirt, I'm just good, right? I'm good with that. So that works perfectly, I gotta admit. So that's really working well.
I'm glad.
You got 3 plans on the page. Well, basically 2 for the normal customers and then the enterprise plan. So, and the basic one comes with 200 credits, whereas like the next one, the pro one, comes with unlimited credits. What I was thinking is like, so you're saying yourself, it has to be in reasonable limits, whatever that means. Did you ever have a client that used it so excessively that you had to basically cancel their subscription?
Yeah, so it's funny that you're mentioning it because it's just something that happened quite recently. Ever since we launched the video model, and by the way, the video model is not our development, right? We're using Fal AI. They have a bunch of great video models that we use. So we tried a bunch of them. But it's just a little feature that we added. And because it's quite expensive to generate video and it takes a lot of time, like 5 minutes still for a 5-second video, we decided to put it in the Pro plan. And since the Pro plan is unlimited, we did have a very, very excited customer, which he's a great customer. Like we love him. He really is embracing virtual try-on and he's trying to sell it to other people and fashion brands. Like, look how cool you can make videos and images and things like that. But he did use the video excessively. First, like when we just launched, and to the point, like he was almost the only one that was generating videos on the Pro plan when it came out. But what we did in that situation, we kind of just reached out to him because we have our Discord server for our customers in the community. They're using Tryon. So we just reached out and we said, listen, there is a bit of an issue currently with the video generation because it's also you generating so many videos, it's stopping others from generating as well. And if you can please tone it down a little bit until we figure out like what we do with it. And he was really sweet. Like he listened and he said, yeah, of course, no problem. And please let me know, like, if I can even pay you more, like, or just for my part, I can add something like custom for me because I am going to use it a lot. And we're still figuring this out, but there's a solution to everything.
So
nice.
You didn't have to cancel him.
No.
You said that he's basically blocking other customers, which is normal, right? It's a scaling issue. But then again, I was thinking, is it easy to scale such a thing? Like, because I would assume, just an assumption, I would assume that the model in itself, right, should be stateless. So in theory, in pure theory, I should be able to like just run more containers on Fal AI. But is that something you can do? So for example, if that client says, I'm going to use it so extensively, I'm going to, I don't know what that costs to host it on Fal AI, but I'm going to pay you 250 instead of 49. Could you just scale up more models and then the problem would be solved? Not more models, more instances.
So specifically with Fal, and when you use their models from the model gallery, I don't think you can like self-host the model for yourself through them. Maybe it will be possible. But currently, I mean, even they have a certain rate limit. And I think currently the solution for scaling things like that is just like trying to limit each customer to like, for example, what we did right now, even on the Pro plan, is that you cannot send a video to generate and then start another one immediately. Like you will have to wait until the one you're doing is done.
Interesting.
yeah,
So
for now, I think that's the way.
it's actually something that's super interesting, because with my clients, like the only part where I'm using AI is embeddings. So not as excessive stuff as other people like you do. So for most of my clients, I always go like, when I ask them like, will it scale? I'm just like, my standard answer is, obviously that's not a technical answer, but when they say like, what if I got like 10 million users? I'm like, throw money on it, right? So that's my answer. Because if you got like 10
Yeah.
million users, like, the fuck are you asking me? You can just throw money on it. But it seems that in the AI context, due to the consumption and due to the limitations, also like the GPUs and whatever, it seems like you actually can't just throw money on it, right? So you're
Yeah.
actually limited.
But it's also funny you mention it, because it's a thing that we encountered a lot, like with new customers or with people just like emailing us, that they don't even have a product out. Like they don't even have an app in production, and they are worried about scale. Like, but
Always.
on such an enormous level, like,
I know.
will it scale? Like, what will you do if we have 100 customers like at the same time? And we're like, first of all, congrats if that happens to you. That's great. We hope
Yeah,
it will happen. It will be beneficial for us as well. But
exactly.
let's see what happens. Like, you take it step by step. It's not something that you solve from the beginning, I think, unless you're like a
Exactly.
huge company. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's weird. It's a phenomenon apparently that
It is. It is. It
yeah.
is one of the most common questions. Will it scale? It's also like one of the most common Superbase questions. Will it scale?
Hmm.
And like, as I said, like my standard answer, if I can't hear it anymore, I'm like, just throw money on it, right? Because that is a solution. And even in your case, let's just be real. If you got like a lot of customers, if you got like a lot of growth, that also means more money for you. It also means, end of day, it's just business. It means that you could push the prices. Like, end of day, it means you're getting more money, and that could mean, just speaking theoretically, you're moving off of full AI. You're actually, I don't know, hiring someone to scale an actual infrastructure on, for
Exactly.
example,
Exactly.
Paperspace or whatever. So things
Yeah.
will just go with the flow, and that's what people forget. You got to start somewhere, and you got to just start making money up to the point where you can take that money to then grow even more. It's an interesting one. As you said, it's a phenomenon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you yet have enterprise clients?
We do. We do. Unfortunately, I cannot reveal them, but yeah, we have, for example, some agencies, like,
Nice.
creative agencies that are using us, and they are really kind of heavy consumers because they need to create a bunch of combinations of clothes, for example, for advertisements, because this is also going to be kind of the future, like personalized ads for a
Yeah.
t-shirt you like, and then they will put it on a person that kind of looks like you, or maybe you, and yeah, and suggest
Yeah,
it to you. Yeah.
exactly. Or it's me. So I uploaded.
Yeah.
I just imagine this being in the future. I'm scrolling through my phone, and I'm like, there's
Exactly.
me. There's an ad for
There's
this.
you with like an Adidas shirt, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. It will happen. I mean, that's
Yeah,
where we're
I
going with
guess.
AI. So
Yeah. What I found interesting about the person you told me about is the fact that people would not use the UI as much, but instead like use the API, because I feel like this is something that but maybe I'm too much of a coder, too much of in the software field. But I would feel like, yeah, it's nice to basically see the UI, to see the capabilities of your model, right? But then I would assume that people would naturally just go and use the API instead, because what's the idea behind me doing it manually? Doesn't it take like even a manual effort in itself, even without the time the AI takes?
mhm.
Isn't that a time waste? Like, because you talked about a client that uses it a lot, so I'm thinking like, why would I do that with my hands?
Yeah, no, it's true. But the thing is that we have like kind of two types of customers. And we need to remember that there are many people who are not technical at all.
Yeah.
And even AI can't help much with that, I think. I mean, they're not technical, they're not from this world, especially in the fashion industry. I think they have their own workflows and their own traditional ways that they're used to work on. And that's why you do have these people from agencies, for example, that are using the web app and not the API. Unless they have like a dev team that can implement the API for them. But it's kind of two different use cases, because we could think also about, I don't know, a person somewhere that's starting his own fashion brand. And they're not technical, they're just making clothes, and they want a platform to generate really good looking, realistic fashion photo shoots.
Yeah.
So yeah, they will use the web app in that case. But we definitely have currently more API users, that I can say. Because there are also many companies who are building platforms just like we are building this platform. So that's okay. Like, but they're all using Fashion AI, like our virtual trial model. So it's really great.
Many people actually struggle, no matter if side projects or main project, to keep healthy routines. Do you have healthy routines? Do you have recommendations how to keep them up? Do you use specific tools maybe to structure yourself, your day, especially when it's your own product? How do you prioritize what to work on? Because there's no project manager who tells you like, you got to do that, you got to do that, but you got to do it all on your own. Like it's you and your husband. So how do you deal with all of that?
Actually, we were just talking about it, that we wanted to buy like a whiteboard to write like what we need to do. But I'm using the simplest thing ever. Like, I'm writing my missions on like the note taking app on the MacBook. Like, and then I just cross them over like when I'm done, and I move on, and I don't really use anything for that. But yeah, the problem with working on your own also business, your own app, is that you're working all the time. And it's also like a disadvantage in a way, like for you, for your health, right? Because you're thinking about it all day. You think about it when you go to sleep, when you wake up. You don't know when to stop. So sometimes we need to kind of stop each other. Let's say if I'm stuck on something, I'm working too much, then needs to say like, "Aya, let's stop. It's okay. You don't need to ship it today. Like, it's fine."
Yeah.
But yeah, we are not using anything specific. Like, at least me, like, I'm just writing notes what I need to do. I don't necessarily set even like a time frame when I need to make it done. It depends on what. Like, it depends on the project, on the feature that we're developing. For example, now I know that I have a bunch of things to finish until the beginning of March. So I'm just doing
because
it
the
all
client
to
needs
finish.
it until March, or why is that? Because in theory,
No,
you
it's
could just
because
say,
we need it. Because we need it, we decided. I can give an example, like we are going to change our pricing for the API, and I will have to do a bunch of things on the back end also, and on the web app, on the UI, to do that. And we are introducing new commitment plans for the API. So it's going to be kind of subscription based with a top-up option. I want to add automatic top-ups, for example, things like that. And I know I need to do it till the beginning of March, because we said that we're going to increase our prices. And yeah, it needs to be ready. So
then why March? So that is something like, I
why
get it,
March?
but then, yeah.
But I don't know, because we should have done it way like before. But yeah, we just decided, okay, let's go through February, because we just decided on the price change like, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And then you want to give your users still the time to adjust, maybe to buy some credits in advance in the old price,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I see. So that's one kind of helpful thing also for me, is setting yourself deadlines. So that's what you're kind of doing with that, right?
Yeah. Do you use anything? Like, maybe I should start using something.
Yes, but I'm always on the hunt for even improving it, and that takes time as well. So I'm not sure. I would show you. I actually do have a whiteboard, so that is something I actually do recommend, because with analogous things, you just have a big advantage that you can't put everything in there, but you have that big advantage that these are the three things that are super important. You just have them there, and you can even like put a few other things there. Like sometimes I even it's not just my business whiteboard. If I need to go to the what's it called, like the
Grocery store.
yeah, for example,
Yeah.
and must not forget like a certain thing, I'll put it there as well. So whiteboard is definitely something I can 100% recommend. That's cool. But on the other side, like in the digital field, it's a bit of a struggle. Like I love Notion, and I kind
Mm-hmm.
of made Notion also with like this you can create these Kanban boards in Notion. So I
Yeah.
kind of made myself like this task list, which at least helps me to see what things are supposed to be done in the next weeks. And for example, since I'm working for multiple clients, right, I do create client pages for each of the clients, even if they're not yet my clients, but just so that I know, okay, this client had this budget and they wanted this and whatever, whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
Notion really helps. I also worked once with a colleague who just wrote everything down on paper, and I worked as well. So I think
Yeah.
also what I'm saying is like I'm kind of satisfied with my setup, but I also think like people generally, if this structuring thing, if structuring everything digitally too much weight in their life, such that it comes to a point where all they care about is structuring instead of doing the actual work. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
It's very time consuming, like
Yeah,
to even to go on Notion and to make these Kanban boards, like
exactly.
it's not easy. That's why I really love like a paper and pen, just write things
Yeah,
down. And yeah, if I don't want to write with a pen, I just write it on my notes. So
yeah.
that's
I would
it.
do
And then
that.
I cross it off and that's it.
Yeah, I would do the same if I had just basically one project. So if I would be working on just one project, but due to basically clients and having like different assets and PDFs and whatever, whatnot,
Yeah.
actually, that's something that annoys me so much that I'm actually right now working on a side project. I'm just trying to come to a point where I can just have clients managed in my own project. I just want a minimalist version of managing clients and whatever, whatnot. But that brings me to a question actually towards you. From what you said in the beginning, you said basically, or at least that's how I perceived it, is that you were really business focused, which makes sense. It's a business, so you're business focused. But there's one problem that I see with being so business focused is that it doesn't necessarily, with other people that I've worked with or for or that I've known, align with their own vision and passion. So have you been able to make this project also your passion? Because in the beginning it was like, okay, it makes sense to
Mm-hmm.
go into the fashion industry with
Mm-hmm.
AI,
Mm-hmm.
but that isn't necessarily a passion. That's a business decision. So how do you keep motivated? Is it that the clients, or what keeps you motivated?
But I think it like the reason we decided to leave our jobs and like create this business is because we wanted the challenge and
Yeah,
we knew it's going to be challenging and we wanted to kind of take that next level, technically, career wise. And we always said that even if, God forbid, one day this doesn't succeed, and like we will have to shut it down, we will now have so much knowledge and so much experience to go work for great companies
very
around the
true.
world. And I think we first and foremost we really love the challenge. I had to face a lot of difficulties while I was building all these things. Like I never built an API before. Like I was mostly a front end developer. I
Mhm.
mean, I did learn backend, but it wasn't my strong side at all.
Yeah,
Um, so it was really challenging and interesting. So I think that's what keeps us motivated is like succeeding
yeah,
every time and developing something that we have never developed before. And also, of course, the customers and the people who love us and use the technology and praising us like every day. It's such a great model. It's so good, like the quality.
yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
makes
true.
you happy. It makes you want to keep going and just developing more and more tools for them. And also, you realize that there is a problem. There is a real problem with virtual try on. it is a use
Exactly.
case. Like, we're not building for nothing. Like, we're like making something people want, right?
Exactly.
That's how I feel, at least. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's only growing now. Like the virtual try-on, like AI for fashion. I see more and more companies coming out with this, and it's a good trend overall. So I'm really happy, even though we were not really connected to the fashion industry or the fashion world before that. Yeah, we were just a bunch of technical people. Like, we're two technical people who like to code, and we wanted to build something cool. But we did, and now it's paying off. And yeah, I'm really happy
Right.
that we chose this, that we kind of stayed in this niche, because it's
Yeah.
important to focus as well and not try to do everything all at once.
Switch.
Yeah,
Either do all at once or switch, but it basically
yeah.
comes down to the same thing. I know by experience from myself. Um, so yeah, it's basically, in your case, the business decision then eventually became a passion due to the process that's part of it, because you get consistent feedback, and with that consistent feedback and the usage basically of it being a real use case, so it actually helping people, um you have that motivation, you just keep it going. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have
um
to. Like, people are building apps on top of our technology, and yeah, they have clients, they have
right.
customers, and yeah, I need to keep
Right.
going for them. So yeah.
But that brings me to one very important topic, actually. That is your product, like Fashion AI. With your product, we actually have a great sample of something that not only saves time, but saves also in my opinion, very annoying process. So probably the only one who would love the process in, like, what you're replacing basically, is maybe the photographer, right? Who would have
Mm-hmm.
done it. So
Mm-hmm.
he or she might have had that passion, but everyone that revolves around it, like, no one likes to put basically images into a content management system if you can just automate it, which you can't with a photographer. But long story short, I have a feeling with AI in general, and I have that analogy, which is like, it's a bit like the grandma, but the bad version. The grandma that always gives you food even though you don't want more food, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be like, grandma, I'm not hungry anymore. She goes like, but you're so skinny. And so she gives you just more and you're trying to eat
Yeah.
it. You don't want to, but you're just trying to be nice. But then, like, with AI, I feel like it's the bad version of that grandma. So even even after the second plate and the third plate, she still brings you more, and you're like,
Mm.
I can't. I'm about to puke. I can't.
Yeah.
That's a little bit how it feels like with AI, because just feels like we're, again, I think Fashion AI is an exception here. It just feels like we're AIifying the wrong things in all of the fields. And I might be wrong here, right? It's just my opinion, but I feel like bringing AI to social media is the dumbest thing you can do. You can, obviously, which still, like, is it's a bit complicated, but you can obviously use ChatGPT to prepare your initial posts, right? To say like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want it to be, I don't know, in my brand language or whatever. But
Yeah.
then at the part of where it becomes the interaction, right, where you're discussing with people, then there's people trying to solve that. So you don't need to
Yeah.
discuss with people anymore. But what you'll end up, and you're seeing this on LinkedIn especially, you can also
Mm-hmm.
tell, kind of, you want to sell something to humans, but you end up having machines talking to machines. What are you actually solving? But isn't what they're doing then end of day
Mm.
just destroying something that was supposed to be something else, because they're trying to time save on social interaction, but then what they're I'm making this very blunt. um what are you here for then? Even why are you on this world if you're trying to avoid social interaction? Like, yeah, you can just use
Yeah.
a call my mom AI, so you don't have to call your mom. So what's the
Oh, that's
purpose?
interesting. Wow. Yeah, I think it's a blessing and a curse with all of these AI innovations and the advancement of LLMs. So yeah, I think we still didn't reach a point where it's natural enough and where you can really replace a person and use it instead of a person. I mean, yeah, even the AI chatbots, like for support, for example, that I see sometimes, it's not a very pleasant experience. I do, however, believe that it does help to solve specific problems, like, I don't know, generic questions that customers usually have. That's great. Uh, but yeah, we still don't know, I think, how to navigate both and still remain human in a way where we need to be human. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's complicated. Even in our case, like we never say that we want to replace the photographer's job. We don't. Like,
Yeah.
they are still great. Maybe they will do a better job in many cases. But we want the photographer to use us to help themselves. Like, because if you made a great photo shoot, you can just use us to for the try-on of the clothes, to change models, maybe. So you don't have to reshoot. You don't have to have another, I don't know, production day that costs a lot of money. So yeah, we don't want to replace anyone's job. We just want people to use AI to help them. Because I think still we have many, many people on the planet that don't know the benefits of AI. They don't know how to use it. It's not very accessible to them. Like you said, even with the developers, with APIs, we are in this little bubble, but not that many people know
Yeah.
what is an API. Like,
Yeah.
you need to
Sure.
explain it somehow to a person. What is an API? How it works?
Yeah.
Why? Like, so yeah, it's complicated. But personally, I don't currently. I find it hard to believe in all of these bots for communication, for emails. Like, I still think you need the personal touch. At least make the AI
Yes.
more personal. Make it more real. Why is it so AI-ish? Like,
Yeah.
in the
And
behavior. Yeah.
yeah, it's what I'm thinking is we should leverage AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means end of day, it should be like I don't know, like a raincoat, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're going outside and it rains, you're leveraging the raincoat so you don't get wet, but you're still going outside. You don't go like, yeah, the raincoat is going to do the grocery shopping for me, which would be nice.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is where people maybe use or develop stuff with AI in the wrong way because they're trying to replace things that aren't supposed to be replaced. There was some guy from, doesn't matter, medical sector, whatever, and they booked a paid call, right? But at that day, I couldn't make it. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
exact reason anymore. So I told them to reschedule, but I didn't get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I just got some generic answer, like it was like something like happy to meet you and whatever. I'm like, did you even read my email? Like it sounded like someone has written it, but at the same time it sounded like it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said like, okay, they paid for it. I'm gonna make it happen. Like I'm gonna make it work. So I did make it work. Actually, I was then at my computer, even though there was a collision. But I did basically. I think I canceled the other meeting, just for it to make it work. No one showed up, even though 3 minutes before I got an email. I'll be right there, just grabbing some water.
Wow. Okay.
So no one was there, and I'm like, the fuck's happening? So because he actually wrote, I'm just grabbing some water, I was certainly convinced he's going to show up.
Mm.
So I waited for half an hour. I was in a meeting doing nothing.
Wow.
And then but they already paid. So I'm like, well, doesn't matter. I don't know what happened. Long story short, It was an AI.
Oh my God.
So,
But yeah, that's
but
weird.
it wasn't an AI that booked me, obviously, because they paid for it. But he thought it's a nice idea. That's because you mentioned like using AI for email and stuff like that. You can certainly
Yeah.
use AI to leverage writing better emails, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not replacing the act of talking to people and actually
Yeah.
at least preparing the most minimal content of what you're supposed to be writing.
Yeah.
And because what he did is he AIified basically his whole calendar, his whole email, whatever thing. So whenever he he explained it later to me, whenever he had a meeting upcoming, it would just say, "Be right there. I'm just grabbing some water."
Wow, that's nice. Interesting.
Yeah,
But eventually it ended up kind of hurting his business, right? Like he
exactly,
didn't show up. It's not
exactly.
professional. Uh,
Exactly.
Hmm.
And I even said like I first wanted to basically keep the money and like sorry, but I was there for half an hour and you just didn't show up. I made it happen, but like I wouldn't have had to. So yeah.
No, but
So
then
that, I think
why is it there? Like, I mean, this person, like this AI, it had to kind of notify the person as well. Not only you, not only email his
I don't know.
people, like
He said end of day, but you wrote me that you're not going to make it. And I said, like, yes, but I also wrote you that I'm going to make it. And you wrote me that you're going to show up in like 3 minutes because you're just grabbing some water. And he's be like, yeah, I'm not seeing the AI answers.
I see.
So
That's
he
even
isn't aware.
worse.
He isn't
Yeah.
even aware of what the AI is writing. Yeah, but
Wow.
so and I think just generally I think that is where AI goes wrong, is when people try to replace their whole life with AI. It just feels like if they could, they would just
Mm.
say like, oh, I'm hungry, could the AI eat for me so I don't have to eat? That's the direction
And
we're
I think
going.
it's like you said, it's also like with coding, it's the same because you can use AI to help you code. I don't think you can 100% code with AI, at least if you don't know how to code yourself. Like it's going to be very challenging to really understand like what's happening and how to fix things, and the AI is not always perfect. Maybe it will be one day, but it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, like even I had customers who are maybe not technical and they asked ChatGPT or something like how to make an API call, but they had a mistake. And then they come to me and they say, your API is not working, you have a problem. And I'm like, wait, this doesn't seem right. Like the request that they send me doesn't seem right. And I'm like, do you have a developer or somebody? And they're like, no, I just use ChatGPT or something. And I'm like, okay, that's not how you make an API call. I mean, maybe you never made an API call before, but yeah. And I don't want to be there like code editor, like code reviewer, let's say. I can't. It's not my job, right? So yeah, that's why it's a bit problematic to kind of
I see the
completely
same.
replace things with AI. Yeah.
Yes, I see the same, especially in coding. And this is
Mm.
like for the other parts, I can just say like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you're fucking up your calendar, you do you. But for the
Mm.
coding part, it's very interesting what you said,
Mm.
because exactly what you explained already explains the problem. You're not saving time, you're shifting work. That's what happens right now. At least in
Mm.
this context in which we are living right now with AI, how it is right now. Because it's not like AI is taking away all of the time we would need to create all of these things, but it's like there are persons suddenly starting to code who shouldn't code. Not because they shouldn't code, but because they have never in their life basically tried to actually learn to code,
Yeah.
doing the actual programming. And they think using AI to generate some code and putting it together, gluing it together somehow to make it work is then coding, is learning to code. Just yesterday, there was,
Mm.
I posted it actually, I posted a screenshot. I think I have it here on my profile. There was a guy who said Stuck Help. That was the title. Stuck Help. He said, I honestly I give up. I'm using Lovable, and I'm trying to integrate Stripe payment and the Jet AI, although that doesn't even make sense. Although helpful is really circulate to the thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just reading out loud. Although helpful is really circulate to the things that asking me to do with no solutions today now. Okay, he obviously couldn't bother to use AI for proper English. Is that difficult to integrate a payment, or probably something is wrong with the setup that AI guided me? And then one person asks, so you're not a programmer? And he says, no, I have zero code experience. I just created the software. I'm trying to integrate payment. And why am I saying this is shifting work? This is shifting work because it happens here. It happens in your case. Because it's not like there's less work. There's suddenly more work for other people. People that are suddenly there to help them fix the things that went wrong. And it's also something which I nowadays become very, very, very careful and paranoid of, is like, in general, web applications deployed on the internet. Because I don't know, is that done by someone who knows coding? So that's why I'm at least trying to check, is there some company name on it or something like that? Because I just can't. My solution to that is I can't trust any, and I'm sad for this, but I can't trust any single person, individual deploying anything, because I don't know, was this an experienced coder who actually cares about data breaches, security, and whatnot?
Yeah.
Or was this someone with zero code experience somewhat integrating payment with Lovable? And to add one last thing to that, is that actually is something that clients pay me for, some of my clients, that they fucked something up with AI, and they then have to pay me for a much higher price than having hired someone with normal experience who would have done it the right way. And that's what I mean with leveraging AI.
Yeah.
You can certainly use AI like Cursor, Copilot, whatever you want, and then see like, oh, this is great, this is what I want. Or see like, I think it fucked something up there, and I think this is not in line with security. So that's what you get in your case, right? Or in Dan's case.
Yeah, and I think until AI will be able to see like the full picture and to really learn, for example, with our API as well, like I just remember that we also had a customer who they didn't know like the concept of polling, like you need to poll the endpoint to get the result. And he was like, yeah, I'm sending the endpoint to run the model and I'm not getting a result. Like I'm just getting, I don't know, in progress or something like that. And yeah, again, like you need to start explaining, no, you need to poll the status endpoint to get the result when it's completed and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's like the AI cannot still see like the full picture. Maybe some applications already can, like where you can actually read the documentation, like the AI reads it for you. But even in that case, I saw some events where like it was wrong. And again, that's why you need your own brain as well. Like you need to use your brain sometimes to, and your knowledge and your experience to know how to work with these things. So yeah, only leveraging, that's what I believe currently in the current situation. But we don't know, like tomorrow something new can come out and it will be genius. And really like no coders will be able to solve things, to build models maybe from scratch with AI. Like who knows?
Yeah, might be. I think that's the gist here, to use the leverage part, and we don't know what the future brings. However, I have one more chaos theory for that, which is what happens if we're at a point where AI gets even better. So people are, I don't know, project managers are suddenly starting to do most of the work because they want to, whatever. And then let's say 99% of the application is done with AI. And now you're having now things are falling apart and you don't know why. And here's my theory. You will then have to, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, spend a lot of time, get one person or two persons on it to read what no one ever has read before because it was completely AI generated and no one checked it. And then it will take a massive amount of time to fix things. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Yeah, if it's a whole project, if it's, yeah. And yeah, you will also need good enough AI to find the errors that it did and kind of correct them. But
Yeah,
how
and to be
could
honest,
it? Like, yeah.
Right, to be honest, like still, even Bolt and V0, which are great, I think, they still fail at the simplest things. They still fail. Like the Bolt one had a long time where it just like failed to import icons, and you said like fix this, it didn't. So, and that still happens also with V0. I think V0 is great. But it's just like last I tried to make it fix the things 4 times. It's just made it worse. So I deleted all of that part, just fixed it by myself.
Yeah, that's why we can't be lazy. Like I use V0 a lot, and yes, sometimes it makes mistakes. That's okay. I totally accept it. But that's why you need the prior knowledge to be able to fix things and not like work automatically like on autopilot and just do this, do that, do this like instantly. Because it's not perfect, and that's okay. That's part of AI. That's the pretty thing in AI. It's not perfect, and it can hallucinate. It can imagine things. It still cannot be 100% correct all the time, and we need to accept it. Yeah,
fully agree. Okay, I have a few quickfire questions. Coffee or hot chocolate?
Coffee. That's hard.
Treadmill on the gym or running outside?
Gym. Treadmill.
What do you think if there was one word that brands would tell me when I would ask them what is Aya known for? What would be the word?
Oh my God, what am I known for? Humor, I guess. I don't know really. I think
a good
humor.
one.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite tech gadget?
Like physical tech gadget?
Yeah. It could
really.
be. It could be software as well. I mean,
I'm really happy about Apple TV. I don't know if it's considered a tech gadget, but it's just a recent purchase and it's great.
What do you think is the worst tech advice or the worst advice in tech you've ever been given?
That I've ever been given?
Yes.
I think for me, like maybe that you need to know everything all the time, like in a way. Yeah, from seniors at my past life, but yeah, it's a gradual process anyway. It's not instant.
Always, at each stage. And one word to describe Windows. You just got one word. Windows. We're not talking Mac. We're not talking Linux.
To describe Windows, like the
Have you actually worked with Windows?
Like a long time ago. A long time ago. Yeah.
And did you like it?
No. I mean, after I moved to Mac, like to the whole Mac infrastructure, and no, I can't go back. So.
But you don't hate it?
No, I don't. I don't hate it.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. I feel like most people hate it, so they would come up with a word like terrible.
No, it's fine.
Now, what's your next challenge or like big thing, wanna do thing? Could be business, could be a personal thing, like I don't know, I wanna travel to Vietnam, whatever it might be. Is there something you got on your list?
Actually, I am going to travel to Japan soon.
Nice.
In April. So that's exciting. It's like the first long trip that we're going to take. But other than that, really, I wish to get to the part where the business grows and we can hire and the company grows. And it's really interesting. It's an interesting journey that we're currently going through. And again, it's one of the reasons we started. So yeah, it's happening. It's really like by the book. Things happen and it's fun.
Great. So we're at the end, actually. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. It was a great talk.
Sure. Thank you.
Any last words?
Thank you for having me. And that's really cool. And I hope to see you maybe one day in Germany.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Cool. Tell me when you're in Germany. Then
sure. Yeah, we're pretty close. So
we are? Yeah,
I'm in
sure. You said
Belgrade.
you're in Belgrade.
Yeah.
But now one last personal question. You did move to Belgrade from?
From Israel.
Ah, all right. That's a long way.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of.
It's another podcast, you know. it's another story, but yeah.
True. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Aya. Have a great day still. And
Thank
then
you so much.
talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.